With that, what's up, everybody? Back at it like a crack addict, automatic like a fomatic, built for tragedy, made for static. It's your boy, Parental Podcast, back with the blast. 2025 won't last. We're gonna do this real fast. I was I was telling the YouTube that I want to do to set me up to promote it, like schedule it. They had an option like, do you want to schedule? I didn't know you could schedule the vertical live, so I was like, yeah, I'll schedule it. And I hit next, and it take me to go live. I'm like, I thought we were scheduling, and then I guess I'm not scheduling no more. I guess we just live. So good morning, good morning, good morning. We not scheduling, we live. So that's what we doing. I thought I was gonna schedule it 5 minutes in advance, so I could get an advanced little thing out to everybody and be like, hey, I'm live. And so an advanced little thing so it'll promote me. But we here now. We very excited. Hit the like button, hit the like, share, and subscribe as you come in, man. We are going to talk about this morning politics and deception, all fun stuff. Oh, it's going to be fun this morning, man, because I did a podcast about boxing, and what I said was one of the things we love about boxing is controversy. And if you think about like Tyson, some of your favorite fights with Tyson and different people is the controversial fights. Did he get knocked down? Did he knock him out? Did he bite his ear? Like those are the fights that we remember, the controversial ones, right? So as I thought about what I wanted to talk about today, I got excited because I thought about politics and what we love most. A lot of us, what we feed on, let's say that, what we feed on when it comes to politics is the politricks. You know what I'm saying? And the deception, the politricks and the deception that goes on that really is how politics and policy get done. When you look at the thumbnail today, well, one thing you gotta understand, how many days are we at? When Trump gave his address to the Congress, that was only 43 days. That was only a week or so ago. I don't really think we're still at 100 days. When we're at 100 days, they're gonna announce it. You know what I'm saying? We're still in the first quarter. It's March. You know what I'm saying? 3 months would be 90 days. So I don't know if we're at 100 days into the presidency. When you look at the thumbnail, what you see is a signature. You see so much has gotten done in these 43 days. So much has gotten done. Like when before the president got elected, I believe a lot of us were concerned. I heard a lot of people say, make sure we protect the president. I don't know how many people thought that the president would come in and be just steamrolling and get so much done so fast and so quickly. Somebody said, greetings from Croatia. Well, salute to you. So I think that's a blessing, right? It's so much we're going to talk about today. That's just such, but I'm excited about. If you could tell, I'm excited to have this conversation, man. So it's gonna be real fun to have this conversation, and you know we're gonna have a good, because the trolls are coming in early. The trolls are coming in early. What's up, everybody? Like, share, subscribe. Let everybody know. Come in as we begin our conversation. We talking about how much the president has gotten done in less than 100 days. We are less than 100 days into the 4-year term of the current president, and major things are happening. So much is happening in this first 100 days that I believe what we're going to talk about today is the politricks. What's up, Jazz? Is it Jazzy ZZ? Said hi. So we know we're going to have a fire show today. Hey, all y'all trolls that's in the building, hit the like button, man. Welcome in. You're welcome to be here, but I need you to hit the like button. It's not enough likes. Y'all gonna have a good time trolling. Y'all gotta participate. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be here, have fun trolling, hit the like button, hit the share, invite your other troll friends. Well, you're a troll, so you might not have that many friends. But hit the like button anyway, man. It's a fee, man. It's free. Hit that like button. Since you're going to be here trolling, we're going to have a good time. And I believe there's going to be a record for individuals who are interested in politics, and like not just on a level like this, but on a collegiate level, politics that from when you're going to learn about how many presidents have gotten so much done. Like we already know that they had like a competition on executive orders. Like this president signed this many Obama signed this many executive orders, Biden signed, and then Trump signed more executive orders. So there's going to be a record of how much, because the president got so much done within these first 100 days. People are asking about the limitations and the powers of the president, because people never intended or never foresaw that somebody would be able to accomplish so much in so short amount of time. Hit the like button. Everybody coming in trolling, hit the like button. It don't cost you nothing. Thank you to everybody that's hitting the button on the cell phone. Hit the like button. It don't cost you nothing. So I think this is going to be a record. It's going to be a record as far as his presidency. So what he is signing right there, we did a podcast already on him already laying off, and it wasn't even honest about how they reported that. A lot of people took their severance pay. They're going to be paid almost a year. A lot of people took their retirement on a federal level, on a federal job. That retirement is probably better than a lot of your retirements out there. So the people, I don't think there's any reason to be upset about what's happening at the Department of Education. So even with the layoffs, if we start with the layoffs, no teachers got laid off. The people laid off were federal employees. And think about the choice of words that I'm using. Shout out to everybody coming in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button. Man, thank you. It seems like y'all are sharing with your other friends. That's what I wanted y'all to do. Share with your other friends. Everybody coming in is not expensive. Hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? Hit the like button. It's free. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to get some new mods. Y'all just coming in here trolling. If you're going to come in here and troll, hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to come in here and troll, hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? The topic today is about distractions. So this is appropriate. What's happening in the chat is appropriate, and the trolls is appropriate because it's about distractions. How many people believe the individuals in the chat truly believe what they believe and are who they say they are? I don't believe that these individuals are who they say they are. I don't truly believe they believe what they believe. Why would they be here? If these individuals in the chat are authentic and truly believe what they believe, why would they be here? Number one, this is an intelligent forum for discussion. So as we see these trolls in the chat, if you believe that they stand behind what they say in the chat, why would they be here? These are not authentic individuals. These individuals are authentic trolls. These is what you really call a real troll, because they don't truly believe in what they're typing in the chat. They believe in a different type of thing from the past 4 years. They are upset at the success of this administration. A lot of people don't. Number one, what I've learned, because what I said last week about the biggest, I'm going to talk to you today about illiteracy rates among Black boys, which is a global trend, right? But when I did the Department of Education story, the biggest number of illiterate people in America are white males. And that's why I believe we have the situation that we have now. But the illiterate white males and the illiterate Black boys can all thank Donald Trump for closing the Department of Education. Now, back to closing the Department of Education. The Department of Education went through a massive layoff, over 1,000 individuals. You know what people had to report is that no one said people were fired. What they said was there was a massive layoff. So what does that mean? A lot of people took their federal retirement, which a lot of people don't have. A lot of people don't have a federal retirement. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't have a severance pay for several months. So number one, it cost us a lot of money. It's going to cost the taxpayers money to close the Department of Education. But today we're going to talk about what do we get and why is it so important to men and fathers and conservatives and God-fearing individuals, people who pray. I pray there's a lot of people in the chat who seem to have love and affinity for religion. Number one, you should be happy about what happened today, especially if you live in a state where you are the majority and you can have an influence. Last time we talked about me growing to high school in Arizona and the Mormons having seminary and the Mormons having the ability to leave school and go pray for an hour. I'm going to play a video for you from the Oklahoma Education Supreme. I was so blessed and so happy to see the Oklahoma Education Secretary prayed, and they made them show to the students that you are now able to pray in the classroom. So number one, what do you get? For all the people saying, oh, Department of Education, you know what you get? You're able to pray in the classroom again. Do you know, last time I was here, we talked about Notre Dame. What was that, the Orange Bowl? How many people like football? How many people like football, collegiate football? How many people would know about Notre Dame and the brand new coach at Notre Dame and him instituting students go to mass before the football game? And what was the result of students going to mass before the Notre Dame? They won, what was it, the Orange Bowl? What was it, the Orange Bowl? It's not about segregation. Who told that? We're going to get to that in a minute. It's not about segregation. We're going to get to CRT. We're going to get to the false. That's why I said today is about politics. Today is about politics and the distractions. Because for you, I want to read something to you. I was doing my research about black boys and black boys illiteracy. And I asked ChatGPT, because this is what people talking about segregation. I asked ChatGPT, under the Department of Education, young black boys illiteracy rates have continued to drop. How do you square that? So anybody, you can do this right now. Google is your friend, bro. Hit the like button as you come in. I asked ChatGPT, under the Department of Education leadership, young black boys' illiteracy rates have continued to drop. How do you square that? Because the Department of Education is in charge of Title I schools. Right now, for everybody in the chat who think they so smart, tell me the definition of a Title I school. Right now, do you know what a Title I school is? I told you they didn't believe in what they were saying in the chat. I told you they were trolling. Now, everyone, I don't see any of those comments that were there earlier. I told you they did not believe that. They would not be here. This is about Trump and the success of this administration. Do you know the definition of a Title I school? Do you know what the Department of Education does? Okay, do you know about Title IX? The Department of Education enforces Title IX, which did not benefit black boys and heterosexual white male children. The last time I was here, I said the reason that white males are the largest swath of illiterates is because the white male has been demonized, and it directly affects the way teachers educate young white boys. That is a fact. So when they made Donald Trump the devil, they made all white men evil. This was the place black men were in. Teachers were afraid of black men. That affected how teachers educated black boys. So when they made Donald Trump the devil, they made all white men. I know because I work in the industry with white men, and white men can't get a job, can't get promoted. The white man is next to the black man. The white man is next to the black man. We both can't get promoted. We both can't get hired because I'm violent and he is the devil. And you know what? That is affecting how they educate young white males. That's why young white males and young black boys are uneducated. So you tell me, do you know the definition of a Title I school? Do you know how Title IX has affected heterosexual white males and black males in collegiate college campuses? So I am excited as a black father with black male children in college that Title IX will no longer exist where they didn't even have a voice. Title IX said you are guilty until proven innocent. This ain't nobody talking about. Do you really understand what's happening? With Department of Education, Title IX, they enforce Title IX. They enforce Title I schools. And under the Department of Education, did you ask ChatGPT? Did anybody ask ChatGPT? Because I did. Hit the like button. It's 49 people watching. It was 55 at the peak, and it's not enough likes. I asked ChatGPT, for everybody who loves the Department of Education, young Black boys' illiteracy rates have dropped under the leadership of the Department of Education. Square that for me, ChatGPT. And you know what they said? The Department of Education acknowledges the fact that the illiteracy rates of Black boys have skyrocketed under their leadership, and they have initiatives. So I asked again, I said, so what is the result? They said, the fact of the matter is we haven't been able to solve the problem. What they have done is acknowledge that the problem exists, but under federal government, through Title IX, through CRT, through Title I, they still have not been able to stop the plummeting illiteracy rates, not even help them go up. Let's just be honest. They haven't even stopped the plummeting illiteracy rates of young Black boys. Young Black boys' illiteracy rates continue to drop under the Department of Education. At least this is like saying vote for Democrats. If you want me to love the Department of Education, can you just stop the illiteracy rates? Can you stop them? Can you just make a platform or a ceiling where the illiteracy rates stop? If you want me to love the Department of Education, I said, ChatGPT, square it with me. Tell me how a Black father of Black boys in America should be concerned about the Department of Education leaving when illiteracy rates of Black boys have plummeted. They haven't even been able to stop them or freeze them. All they have, if you go to the website right now, I'm going live, but you have the power to go to the website right now, Department of Education, pop in everything that people talk about. Hey, is there really an illiteracy problem with young Black boys? You know what you're going to find? You're going to find, yes, there is an illiteracy problem with young Black boys. Well, what has the Department of Education done about it? And can it be solved by the Department of Education? They're going to admit no. They're going to say no. We haven't been able to solve the problem. It took me 2 seconds to find that. The Department of Education will say honestly. So you know what they have to do? They have to do is say, we admit that the problem exists, but under Department of Education leadership, they haven't been able to solve the problem of illiteracy. They haven't been able to solve the problem. So why should we keep the Department as a Black father, as a father of white heterosexual boys going to college with Title IX and how Title IX treats heterosexual males in college? Tell me why a white father of Black heterosexual, tell me why a white father of heterosexual children should care about Department of Education. Tell me why a Black father of heterosexual male children should care about the Department of Education. Even if you will think about this, if you are a rural white father in Oklahoma, in Tennessee, because they're going to scare you and say, hey, the money went to you. The money went to your rural school. But you know what you couldn't do? You couldn't pray in school. You couldn't pray in school. And then you couldn't teach what you wanted to teach in school. Your male child would be forced to answer certain questions, not learn how to build a house, not learn how to open up a bank account, not learn how to read. You're not going to tell my male child how to read, but you're going to take federal money. You're going to take my tax dollars and take my son to the back and ask my son, what is his association? Not his dad. You're not going to let his dad. You could call me from work. If you're going to have that conversation with my son, you could call me from work and I can have a conversation. I'm his father. I pay the bills. I wipe his ass. I wash his dishes. I cook his food. But you get to have a conversation with him without me. No more. This is why we voted for Trump. Why you think Trump got a mandate? Why you think we voted for Trump? Why you think Trump got a mandate? Hit the like button. It's not enough likes. This live stream, this fire I'm spitting does not continue without your accent. Hit the like button. It's not enough likes. Hit that heart button on your cell phone. It's free. It don't cost. I need at least 100 likes. We need 100 likes in the building. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share. We do this every day at 10 a.m. It's the Perfect Timing Podcast. the hottest, newest podcast on YouTube. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe. It costs you nothing to hit the like button. And tell me honestly, how many of you understand what a Title I school is? Do you know what it means? I know what it means because I've been on a PTA. How many PTA members? How many PTA members? See, I was on the PTA. I was such an influential person on the PTA that the principal asked me to be part of the LCAP. I learned things on the LCAP committee. I don't know if I'm happy that I learned them, but being as a parent on the LCAP committee, voting on how money would be redistributed to schools and how schools would spend that money, I learned a lot about how schools get funding, how special ed receives funding, how ESL receives funding directly, ESL gets funding directly, and then I learned the statistics of young Black boys and Mexican students. The lowest performing is Latinos and Black boys. I said English second language learning students get their money directly, but the lowest performing students on the graph were Black boys and Latino boys. Special ed get their money directly. So if the feds are involved, right? The feds is the Department of Education. What you don't know is the states control, the feds only control 100,000 schools, and most of the money and policy comes from the state. But the feds were in charge of everything you heard about, CRT, DEI. As we debated these things, no one understood, is that coming from local? Is that our local PTA? Is that our local administration? No, CRT came down from the Department of Education. DEI came down from the Department of Education. Title IX came down from the Department of Title I. Why is your school title? Did you know what Title I? A lot of people on the trolling in the chat, I do got people with blue wrenches. We might have to address the individuals with blue wrenches because they're not doing their job today, but YouTube is doing their job. YouTube is getting the trolls about the chat. Hit the like button. It's free to hit the like button. Title IX is, and Department of Education is where CRT came from. So did you think that the feds cared about the unity of the country? Because one thing why the Democrats lost is because no one listened to the citizens. Why didn't they listen to the PTAs, to the parents? There were parents having discussions nationwide. Parents were talking about the books that were in the classroom. The parents were coming to consensus because it should be the parents. It should be the citizens. But no, it was granddaddy on high. How could you as a citizen, if you understand what it means to be a citizen, how could you be upset at the government being shrunk? You should want the government to be smaller. Today, this week, we're learning about industrial military complex, Eisenhower's speech. Do y'all know they just released the JFK? They just released the JFK files. When people talk about the JFK files, they will talk about Eisenhower. They will talk about the military industrial complex and why JFK was assassinated. Do you know he really got, whether or not who did it, he really got assassinated. Do y'all get that? So what they talked about, what the whole gist was, is that people who believe in the citizens, people who believe in America should want the government to be smaller and should not want the government to have so much power over the citizen. Getting rid of the Department of Education puts more power back in the hands of the... How many people hit the like button? I should have 100 likes. Because we're educating Americans here today. Y'all need to hit the like button so you understand. If you understand the JFK, see, there's so many distractions right now. There's so many politics going on right now. Do you understand the release of the JFK? No one's going to talk about JFK's assassination without talking about Eisenhower and the military-industrial complex and the size of the government and money influence in the government. When they talk about that, what you got to understand is the Department of Education is making the government bigger and taking away rights from you. I don't need the government. I don't need Big Daddy telling me what to teach in my school. We don't need it. We don't need a blanket. I'm gonna tell you right now today, everybody listening, I love you. And you do not need a blanket. You do not need a blanket. You can educate your kids on your own. You do not need a blanket. You do not need Big Daddy giving you extra money. You don't need Big Daddy telling you what to educate your kids in your school. You don't need Big Daddy telling you you can't pray in your school. You can't, hold on. You don't need Big Daddy telling you you can't pray in your school. I had something I want to show y'all. You don't need Big Daddy telling you you can't pray in your school. Check this out. This is 3 months ago. You know who this is? This is the Secretary of Oklahoma. He's praying. He's praying.
Share a video in which he announces an Office of Religious Liberty and Patriotism and prays for Trump.
I pray in particular for President Donald Trump and his team as they continue to bring about change to the country.
We wanted our teachers and
For a long time, you couldn't pray in school. To pray in American school was frowned upon. To have prayer in an American school was frowned upon. The Department of Education stopped things like that. To have prayer in America, do y'all remember? America was built on prayer. We don't talk about it no more. They take it out of Starbucks. They take it out of family. They don't want you to have family. But you know, America at its core is hardworking, married, loving people. We go to work every day. We love our wives and our children. We go to church every Sunday. Why is it that over the past 4 years, they want to take apart everything what America is and act like we some crazy people? We go to work every day. We pay our taxes. We love our wives. We love our children. We're not weirdos. We go to church on Sunday. But they tell us, oh, it benefits us not to have prayer in our schools. A lot of y'all, did y'all hear when I talked about Notre Dame? How many of y'all like football? Did y'all hear about what I talked about the new coach at Notre Dame and how he instituted that the Notre Dame football team go back to mass every time before they play a football game, and then they won the Orange Bowl? This is the effects of the Department of Education. I don't know how many people. I'm not trying to force prayer. This is the thing about what happened in the past 4 years. Well, you know what's so beautiful is that whatever state you live in, I went to high school in Arizona. I went to high school in Arizona almost 20 years ago. The Mormons, it was 1,000 Mormon kids for that comment. There were 1,000 Mormon kids in my high school over 20 years ago. And every day they left campus and went to seminary and prayed. This is normal in Utah, in Arizona. Y'all name another state where you went to school with and they were good people. They got married. They went to BYU. They prayed. I admired the Mormon culture. I know they said negative things about Black people, but I still admired the Mormon culture, how they had strong family, strong convictions, strong citizens. And what was wrong with them going to pray every day? What was wrong with them being good people? Nothing, obviously, because they're very successful. The people who institute prayer in their life are very, I'm not saying that you have to, but I'm just saying this is what exists in the world. So while you saying forced prayer, the Mormons have been doing seminary for forever and being successful. Notre Dame is a Catholic school. Did you know that? I think a lot of people forgot that. I think a lot of people forgot that Notre Dame was this Catholic collegiate behemoth, and that the football players did so well because they went to mass. I think a lot of people forgot that. Because it's been demonized. We got so much partying and so many distractions that no one talks about the benefit of religion and prayer. I'm not saying that you have to pray. I'm just saying for so long it's been demonized where people say, oh, you're going to make me pray. No one's going to make you do anything. All I'm trying to do is present the benefits and what's happened without prayer, and people telling us from Big Daddy telling us when we can and can't. See, the power and the beauty of America that makes it not China, that makes it not Russia, is that we can't pray whenever we want to whoever we want, because if we can't, then it's not America. Do you get that? The people making that comment. If we can't pray to whomever God we want, whenever we want, then it's not America. Do you know the freedom religion is the crux of this thing? If we cannot pray to who we want, when we want, then we're not free people. Because in China, they can't pray to who they want, when they want. They stopped them from doing Qigong. In Russia, you can't pray to who you want, when you want. Do you get what we are? This is why I love America. This is why you should love America. But you need to understand America. Come on, people. Come on, really. Prayer is a choice. That's the gift. That's the gift. I'm trying to help you understand. That's the gift. The gift is the choice to have prayer, the choice to have free speech, the choice to marry who you want. The choice, that's the gift. That's the power. That's what's so special about America. That's the city on a shining hill. That's the gift. That you have a choice. God, thank you for opening up their minds. That's the gift. And I love you in that you can choose whatever you want here. Don't you love that? I love you, and I love you so much, and I love that you could even not do you. Let's check this out. Check out how powerful your gift is. You could choose not to. That's how powerful your gift is. You could choose not to. You could choose to pray to whoever you want to, whenever you want to. The gift is so powerful that you could choose not to, and we all still love you. We all still love you, no matter what God you pray to, or if you choose not to pray. That's how powerful the gift is. That's how important this country is. That's how important this example is. When you get upset, do you understand why you're upset? That you have the gift to be upset. It's a gift to disagree with me. And I love that you disagree with me. And thank you for being here disagreeing with me, because you gave me an opportunity to teach and elevate the conversation even higher. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hit the like button. We don't have enough likes. 74 watching, 28 likes. We had 95. I said, I need 100 likes. Bless us with 100 likes, God. We need 100 likes. Keep it going up. We need 100 likes, 100 likes, 100 likes. It's so easy to hit the like button. We need 100 likes, 100 likes, 100. If you dislike the show. Hit the dislike. That button is there too. Let's go. Run it up. Do you understand? So under the Department of Education, let's bring it home. For everybody, let's bring it home. Because under the Department of Education, this is why people are excited, and this is why people are upset, and that's why Trump won. Because under the Department of Education, your gift was being diminished. Your light was being diminished. Do you get it now? Do you understand why it's so great? Under the Department of Education, your ability to choose, your freedom, your God-given freedom that the Constitution ensures, your ability to choose whether you want to pray, whether you don't want to pray, that was being infringed upon by the Department of Education. Come on, party people. Come on, party people. Is anybody out there? Come on, let's do the Trump. Woo! Woo! Come on, let's do the Trump. Woo! Do you get it? Your freedoms were being encroached upon, and they kept taking more. And everybody at home who understood this was just watching the Department of Education and said, you know what? I might not agree or disagree with CRT. Excuse me. But I do understand how the feds keep coming in and taking more and more of what's supposed to be my right and my decision. How I'm supposed to have this conversation with my son. I'm supposed to be judge and jury. You're not going to come in and help me raise him. You're not going to pay for his diapers. You're not going to pay for his heat. You're not going to pay for his Jordans, but you're going to take out some of the most important decision-making that a parent would have, but you don't want to do none of the support. It's like being a bad father or a bad parent. That's what the feds wanted to be. The feds wanted to be an estranged step parent. You want the ability to parent the child, but you don't want to be a parent of the child, and you want to take away my rights as it is to parent the child. Up on high, granddaddy, and you don't even talk to me. You don't listen to me. Number one, I'm the citizen. I'm supposed to be in charge. It's supposed to be my government. It's supposed to be my child, but here is this big granddaddy telling me what to do. Here's this big granddaddy telling me what to do. Military industrial complex. Do y'all know at the same time that JFK files have been released? And what you will see is that the government is getting too big and too powerful, and the citizens are losing power. You should never be upset by the government shrinking. We should want the government to shrink, but it's going to ask more of you as a citizen. As I calm down, do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, it will require more of you as a parent and as a citizen, because granddaddy will not be there to give you a binky and hold your hand. You might have to go to a PTA meeting. I'm sorry. You may have to go out of your car and meet the teacher. I'm sorry. You may have to shake hands with the principal. I apologize. You may have to get involved with the education of your child, because what you don't understand, what I say a lot of times, is how many people understand about the bubble scan test and that we moved to Common Core. How many people understand how the Department of Education affected the shift to Common Core? How many people know about that your children don't take the same type of tests and exams anymore? After COVID and they got laptops and they email homework back, we moved to a different paradigm. Under the Department of Education, the paradigm is called Common Core. They shifted away from bubble scantron tests. There's so much See, this is what I mean. Parents may need to get involved again. And that's okay. It's okay. We don't need granddad. We don't need them. We don't need this oversized Fed spending money and telling us and taking away our rights. We do not need it. We don't need the military industrial complex. We don't need to be the police of the world. We don't need this military stance over the world. We need young black boys and young white men to learn how to read and be fathers and be men again. Make America great again. We don't want this footprint around the globe. We don't want a footprint on our neck from the federal government. We want our men to be men. We want the ability to raise our children, and we shouldn't have to ask because it's in the Constitution. But we don't understand. We don't get it. We're upset. Why could we be upset at the government shrinking? It's because we don't understand what it means to be a citizen. We don't understand what it means to be American. We worried about somebody making us pray, and we don't understand the gift that we have a choice. Because no one can make you pray in America, but there are countries in the world. There are countries in the world where you are made to pray to certain religions, but not here. And we don't need the federal government telling us when and how, when we have a constitution already. But we have to understand it. We have to know our rights. Somebody said, and young Latinos and Asians, not only black and white. Earlier I said, I was on the PTA. The principal, because I was so influential on the PTA, the principal asked me to be part of something called the LCAP committee. This is where the money got removed from schools, then the money came back to the schools. So they asked a couple parents from each school to come and be on committees to help them decide how. Now, they didn't get extra money, but the schools had lost money, and this federal money was coming back into the budget, and they were asking parents, how should we spend this new allocated money? Part of that is me being privy to information that a normal parent may not be privy to. These numbers I knew before they became popularized in the status quo about the illiteracy rates of young black boys. But you know who is not popular? So I'm glad you brought that up. They never talk about, there's 1 and 2 are almost together, and that's Latino and black boys. But Latinos get no publicity. Whenever you hear about these illiteracy rates of young black boys, what you got to know is the number 2 in that demographic is Latino boys, but it's not like a big gap. They could be tied. But the Latino boy doesn't get publicity. But you know what I learned in the LCAP committee is that English second language learners, their federal money gets directly to them. Because listen to this. This is what the federal government, 119 watching, I need more likes. I told you we gonna get blessed with 100 likes. This is what I learned. I said, you've given me these graphs where you show me that young black boys perform the lowest. You asking me what we should do with the money. We should spend the money on young black boys and helping their literacy rates. You know what I was told? I was told that is called reverse racism. I was told that we can't allocate money to young black boys specifically because that would be reverse racism. I said, I'm only using black boys because that's the metric that you gave me. Let's call it purple. It's the lowest performing metric. What are you going to do to fix the problem? Because it's either the teachers or the children. It's the lowest performing metric. I told you, I asked the Department of Education, because what you got to understand is under the Department of Education leadership, the illiteracy rates of black boys and Latinos and white male children have plummeted, gone down. It hasn't stopped. So when you hear about, oh, young black boys 3rd grade can't read, the rates keep going down. They're not going up. The Department of Education. So this is what you should hear about the feds rolling out this huge initiative. Do you understand? For them to keep their job, for them to keep their influence, for them to keep their hand in your family and in your mouth and your kitchen table, the feds should be rolling out this huge initiative. You know why you haven't heard about it? Because it would be reverse racism. So the feds get away with doing nothing. And the problem has gotten worse under the Department of Education. How can we be upset when the problem has gotten worse? For everybody who wants the Department of Education to stay, why hasn't the illiteracy rates at least bottom line? You should be able to present me perfect. It's been a bottom line. The illiteracy rates have at least bottomed out. They still going down. This is saving children. The Trump is saving children. The department, okay, you want to keep your job? Give me an initiative. Tell me what you're going to do to fix the illiteracy rates of children in America. What are you doing with the $79 billion? What you going to do with the money? What are you doing with the billions of dollars? There should be everybody here watching should be able to call out, oh, the Department of Education, we know Title I, we know Title IX. Why is it no title dealing with illiteracy? Why ain't there no Title 13? Title 14, dealing with low-income students. Let's not call them black, because we don't want nobody to get upset. We don't want nobody to get upset. So why isn't there a Title 14 dealing with low-income student illiteracy rates and direct billions of dollars going to solve the problem? So when Trump says, I'm closing you down, they can jump up and say, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute. We doing this $1 billion program to solve illiteracy. No, you not. You keeping the money. You putting it on retirement. You putting it on raises. The teachers make so much money. The principal, you know the teachers union is worth, you know how big the teachers union is? Do you know how much money these people are getting? They're getting billions of dollars. They should be able to call out a program, but they can call out a program about CRT. They can call out a program about transgender. Billions of dollars going to CRT. Billions of dollars going to transgender. Billions of dollars going into tampons in bathrooms, sports, special sports allocations. Million people rebuilding pools, rebuilding track, rebuilding locker rooms, but no money going to American men knowing how to read and fix shit. The feds, Title I, do you know what a Title I for low-income schools? Title I was 75%. Title I is a school where 75% of the students are below the poverty line. Do you know the teachers make more money to work at a Title I school? So the Title I, they get money to teach CRT. They get money to teach transgender rights. They get money to change the sports. They get money, the teachers getting extra money to ask this question to my son without my permission. They didn't train, that costs money to train the teacher, because the teacher didn't go to school to ask them about their gender association. So they're going to pay the teacher more money. They're going to pay the teacher to get trained to go ask my son a question that I didn't approve them to ask. Thank you, federal government. So money for all of that. And we all know those programs. So for the people mad at me, you know CRT, you know DEI, you know all these programs from the feds. Name a program that addresses the illiteracy rates. What is the program? Just like when we was kids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What is the program? Sesame Street is on HBO. It ain't even on PBS. What is the program where the Department of Education is addressing? I asked ChatGPT. They got things, but you know what they say? We can't fix it. The illiteracy rates keep going down under the leadership of the Department of Education. Well, take it away. Give me that $80 billion. Give it back to the states. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump. Take it away. Take it away. If you can't stop illiteracy rates from dropping, you don't need $80 billion. And they keep going down. I'm just throwing money into a hole. Here goes some more money. I need 100 likes. I got 130. I need 100 likes. I need 100. We don't have enough people. We just gonna keep dumping money into the hole, and they don't even have an answer. If you upset at the Department of Education, can somebody? This is the same thing that the Democrats did when they was losing to Trump. I said y'all could come up with a program right now. Right now they can make abortion a federal law. Instead of yelling at Trump, go do it. See, Trump wasn't president yet. When Kamala and all them was talking all that shit, I said go make abortion a federal law. Why are you talking shit? Trump is not talking shit. He's signing shit. It's a big difference from talking shit and signing shit and doing shit. Come on now. They could have made abortion a federal law before they left. They didn't. Trump, soon as he come in, he's signing everything, canceling everything, just to let you know that they didn't do it because they did not want to. Everybody who's mad, you should be mad at Biden, you should be mad at the Democrats, because when they had the power to do all the magic that you wanted, they did not do it. They had the power to make it a federal law while they were there, and they did not even bring it up in Congress. But they want you to demonize Trump for what he's doing, but they didn't do nothing for you. They kept taking your rights. They kept taking your rights. And you say, oh, what's wrong with you voting for Trump? What's wrong with you? I want more rights. I want a smaller government. I want America great again. I want the citizens to be educated enough to know that it's a good thing when the government shrinks. The citizens should be excited about the government shrinking. They should understand the ramifications. But it's a two-sided coin. It's a two-sided coin. Yes, it's a good thing that the government shrinks, but the citizen has to be more intelligent, more politically advantageous. Yes, it's going to require more of you as a parent. Yes, it's going to require more of you as an American. Yes, it's going to require more of you because when we remove the Department of Education, now it goes back to the states. And so now you got to get involved with who your local representative is. Now you got to get involved with who the head of your PTA is. Now you got to get involved with who is the local head of your sector of, what is it, Department of Education, or your district, or your whatever it is. You might have to get involved with your little board of education in your local area and vote. You might say, can parents vote on the board locally? You might have to get involved. See, people in certain areas where there was CRT and transgender from the feds, you saw parents for the first time showing up to board meetings. You saw parents for the first time showing up to PTA meetings. Do you know why? Because the feds were trying to take rights from citizens, and it required more of the citizens. I got to take off work and show up to this meeting. Why? Because I'm an American and I'm politically advantageous. And this is how you be American. This is how you be a citizen. I have to come to this meeting and vocalize as a citizen how I feel as a citizen. I have a right. Number one, I have a right to be heard at this meeting. You're going to hear what I got to say because I'm a taxpaying American. I'm a parent. My son goes to this school. So I have a right to speak, and I have a right to vote on who is on this board. It's going to require more of you as a citizen. Now tell me, do you want Big Daddy holding your hand? Do you need a binky? Do you need a blanket? Or are you a big boy, put on your big girl drawers and be a parent and an American? I'm an American. I'm a parent. I'm okay. I told you I was in the PTA. I was so vocal in the PTA, they asked me to join the LCAP committee. That's how I learned a lot of this. I'm not just talking about out my neck. I'm not just making shit up. Why you think people, I'm not just making, no, I was on the PTA. I was chosen to go to the LCAP, where a coalition of teachers and parents came together and went over budgets. I never would see this information. This is not information that the layman is privy to. The only reason I've seen certain things is because of my involvement in my political advantageousness. You have to do the same thing. You have to care about your sons, your daughters a little bit more. You have to do the same thing. So yeah, the Department of Education needs to go away. And citizens need to be educated and understand how and why. Hit the join. You don't just gotta subscribe. You can hit the membership. Join the channel. Don't just, I got super chat, hit the super chat. Somebody who love me put my cash app. Ain't nobody put my cash app in there yet. Where are the people with the blue riches who love me? I got a cash app, support the channel. All this stuff costs money. The microphone, the studio. How you like my studio? This is my studio. A lot of y'all don't even really see me a lot. That's my Funko Pop collection. A lot of y'all don't even watch me a lot. You know what I'm saying? Hit the like button, hit the cash app, hit the share, hit the subscribe. You can join, become a member of the channel. We do this every day, 10 a.m., top of the mid-morning podcast. From an OG perspective, you see the little gray hair. I'm a little bit older. I've been an American a lot longer than a lot of y'all. You know what I'm saying? About 45,000 years old and counting. You know what I'm saying? About 45,000 years old and counting. You know what I mean? That's about, from an OG perspective. You feel what I'm saying? And this morning, we talking about the distractions. It's so many things distracting you. The JFK files were just released. Why do I keep bringing up the JFK files? Why do I keep bringing up the JFK files? I keep bringing up the JFK files because you won't hear anyone discuss the JFK files without discussing Dwight Eisenhower's speech about the military-industrial complex and how JFK agreed with him and how he felt like the government was getting too big. And his efforts to shrink the government in ways may have led to his assassination. So Donald Trump shrinking the government is a big deal. Donald Trump closing departments is a huge deal. So we need to pray for Donald Trump and pray for the administration and thank Donald Trump for his leadership. You know what I'm saying? It's a big deal. Like, typically you don't get to close at the government and take out these jobs. You know, so much money and so much corruption is based on these federal allocated jobs. But that's what the Congress and the Senate do. Then they're able to sell. This is why Nancy Pelosi worth $200 million. Nancy Pelosi's worth $200 million because they're able to lobby federal contracts. You know what I'm saying? Federal budgets. So the Fed's closing is a lot of people going to lose money. There was a lot of wasted money in those billions. A lot of people apply for federal contracts that never help children. Nobody ever helped illiteracy rates. But in your neighborhood, you always know some clown. Oh, I got a little after school program. You got an after school program? Well, why ain't nobody learning how to read? They got all these programs with people stealing money. I got a little after school program and this and that. All these federal programs and ain't nobody learn how to read and everybody pregnant. Everybody pregnant. Nobody know how to read. Everybody, come on now. The parents is going to have to get more involved. The parents is going to have to get more involved. That's just what it is. The feds ain't going to be there. The after school program going to go away. A lot of the federal stuff going to go away. So you're going to have to get a different job. You're going to have to get some help. The family's going to have to get tighter. See, what has happened is the federal government has undergirded the single mother and the single parent lifestyle. It takes a village to raise a child. So without a family, without a village, then what you have single parent households, depending on the federal government to be the daddy, to do the after school program, to do the education, to not teach your kids how to read. So why is there so many illiterate kids? Because 70% of the kids are in single parent homes with single parent moms. And the mom is at work and not picking up the kid until 6 o'clock. And she go home and feed them out of a box onto a plastic dish from Walmart. And everybody claps hands. Yeah, you a good mom. And the kid can't read and the kid eat plastic. The kid can't read, drink Red 40 and eat plastic. This is what's happening under the Department of Education and the federal Big Daddy. Without the federal Big Daddy, you may not have so many single parent homes because the single parent home is undergirded by the federal Big Daddy. Oh, y'all didn't get, no one's talking about the real shit. Well, let me show you. What do they, there was another graph that I like. Check out this graph. Check out this graph. Check out this graph of what the Department of Education did, because this is why we don't want them no more. Check out this graph.
Trump faces an uphill battle to abolish the Department of Education. It would take an act of Congress to dismantle the department or to get rid of any of the programs written into federal law.
I sometimes think of this as two different scenarios. A soft abolish would be getting rid of the department, but keeping its various programs, and then just sort of redistributing the programs to other federal agencies.
You hear that? They want to keep the programs. Let's look at the programs. We talked about it earlier. So get rid of the department, but keep the programs. The programs is where all the fat is, where all the corruption is. So you got the Pell Grants, Title I, IDEA, I told you DEI, Title IX. So when we talk about, I didn't know this, but when you heard about Title IX on college campuses, how it affected heterosexual males. Y'all remember Title IX on college campuses, how it affected heterosexual males? So the feds is the one issuing the rules of Title IX and how boys were guilty until proven innocent. Remember all those football players who went and got people accusing them of heinous things and were found innocent, but lost their career in the NFL, got kicked out of college? That was Title IX. Hello? So they said, get rid of the department, but keep Title. We don't want Title IX. We don't want the feds in the business of parents. We don't want the feds on the college campus, right? Pell Grants, y'all gonna miss that. So it might cost a little bit more. You know what I mean? You have to stop doing the weave and the hair nails if you want your kid to go to college. Pell Grants. Title I, again, is the low income schools, right? Title I is where the illiteracy rates is. 75% of the students in the Title I school is below the poverty line. All of this is under the Department of Education. All of that need to go. Because if there's a such thing as a Title I school, then show me the receipts. If you allocating more money to low income schools, where's the money going? I told you it's not going to the problem, because they said it would be reverse racism to put the money on Black boys and Latino boys. So you have something called a Title I school to address low income schools, but the low income school continues to perform worse. Like, why would you be upset? Why would any citizen who understands these nuances be upset at the Department of Education going away? I argue is that they don't know. That's why so many people are watching today. My argument is that everyday citizens are not aware. Everyday citizens assume and don't know what the Department of Education and the feds really do. And that's the sad part.
Agencies. A hard abolish would be getting rid of the department and many or all of its programs. That might be a much tougher sled through Congress and might be a lot more controversial.
This is not a political winner. And you have to be very, very careful. You can lie to parents about a lot of things and maybe get away with it. But if you start hurting their children and you start hurting the children who are already vulnerable, there's going to be hell to pay politically.
The Conservative Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, which Trump has repeatedly distanced himself from, has proposed phasing out Title I funding for low-income students over 10 years and converting other programs to no-strings-attached formula block grants.
Phasing out Title I. Phasing out Title I. Because this is what I want to tell you. Last time Trump was in office, like there's a program called Head Start. There's a program called Head Start where people argued that the lower income students are not doing good because they're not getting breakfast. So they created a federal program where the schools will open earlier and feed kids breakfast and have this extra hour. And so what the last Trump administration said is, you've had Head Start for 20 years. The illiteracy rates have gone down. It hasn't helped. You can't show me one demographic where any of these programs have helped illiteracy rates. So it's not the feds. The feds won't solve this problem. It's not that the problem, everybody in the chat that might be upset, it's not that the problem don't exist. It's that the feds, you don't need a blanket. You don't need a binky. You are the solution. It's not that these problems won't exist. It's that it's not the Fed's job to raise your baby, bro. It's not that the problem will go away. I'm not saying the problems will go away. Anybody listening, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's an end all to be all. I'm not saying it's going to fix shit. I'm saying that the federal government, you don't need a blanket. You don't need a binky. And there's evidence. There's statistical evidence to show that they don't have the ability to fix the problem. Whether or not you want a binky, whether or not you want a blanket, the truth is statistically, by the numbers, they haven't been able to do it. The Department of, did you know one thing? In one of my shorts, everybody, I want you to subscribe and go watch. I played a video where there's a white dude, and he looks like a pastor. Like I told you, I went to school with Mormons. I grew up, like Cat Williams said, I grew up in a place in Northern California where it's half black and half white, and the blacks and whites mingle and mix together. It might not be like that where you from. So this white dude was saying that, did you know that the Department of Education was only created in 1980? For everybody upset, the Department of Education was only created in 1980, and it was only created around bubble scantron exam. So what they did in 1980 is this is what the government does to take your rights. They scare you. Remember how we got the TSA? We should close, next thing Trump, we should close the TSA, because the TSA was another expansion of government powers and infringement on your rights. So how did we get the Department of Education? A lot of you upset thinking the Department of Education been around forever. No, the Department of Education came in 1980. It's recent. It's not 100 years. It's not old at all. So why do we have the Department of Education? Why did they create this body that would say, like, the citizens, you need help, so we're going to take away some of your rights? So I got a video on my channel where it talks about why they created the Department of Education.
Out of control in Memphis. Some local business leaders
in 1980. Let me look for it. It had to do with the testing. It had to do with the testing. It's important because if you watch my channel, I did a lot of content on Fani Willis. And Fani, one of the things I talk about when I talk about Fani Willis is not only her lawsuit against Donald Trump, but something called Atlanta Public Schools. Fani Willis has a history of RICO, and Fani Willis was a part of something called the Atlanta Public Schools RICO case. During the Atlanta Public Schools RICO case, it was centered around bubble scantron testing and teachers being able to cheat with bubble scantron testing, and them coming up with the RICO. So what they said is the teachers scam the system by cheating with the bubble scantron test to get more money allocated from the feds. This all Department of Education. So the teachers got a RICO charge. 30 teachers in Atlanta, thanks to Fani Willis, got a RICO charge, went to prison, but no one addressed the involvement of the Department of Education. You think the Department of Education wasn't aware? And then this is when I talk about Common Core. So let me go to this is my channel. This is my channel right here, y'all. This is my channel right here. And these are shorts I was talking about the Department of Education. So let's go to this one. I got no volume on. During the pandemic, how there was a paradigm shift in education, how your students are no longer.
1980. And in 1983, it released a report called A Nation at Risk, which claimed that test scores in America had been dropping since the 1960s. But this was a manipulation. As it turns out, test scores weren't dropping. There were just more people taking the tests. As before 1960, only rich people took college entrance exams. By 1980, people of all demographics were taking these tests. Although this caused the overall average to drop, nearly every demographic was doing better across the board. But the DOE used the report to justify the expansion of their powers, which would lead to mandated courses, expanded school days, and a standardized test culture. So schools...
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this. You got the Department of Education based on BS, on fake made up data. They lied to you. See, when you look at numbers, you can take numbers any kind of way you want to take numbers. A lot of people don't even know what the Department of Education does. They don't know about Title I. They don't know about Title IX. They've heard CRT. They don't understand CRT or DI. They don't understand how these things, because you haven't gone to a PTA meeting. You haven't gotten out the car. You haven't never spoken to the principal. Do you know your teacher's name? Have you gone to a PTA board meeting? The Department of Education was created in 1980 based on faulty data to expand their powers and take away your rights. When we close the Department of Education, you as a citizen and a parent get rights given back to you. Hoorah!
Started to drop woodshop, to drop home ec. The academics took priority over skill development, which is
they drop woodshop, they drop home ec. So a lot of people always ask why young American men don't know how to do anything anymore. What happened to home ec? What happened to woodshop? The Department of Education. So are you telling me, Perfect, that we might get home ec back? We might get woodshop back? I'm telling you, if you are an intelligent citizen, and you fight to get the Department of Education closed, and you start going to PTA meetings, and you start being involved, then you can vote on what happens in your state. And you can bring back programs. I showed you the state secretary in Oklahoma praying. If you want prayer in your school, if you want home ec, if you want kids to learn how to open up bank accounts.
which is why the act 1980. And in 1983, it released a report called A Nation at Risk, which claimed that test scores in America had been dropping since the 1960s. But this was a manipulation. As it turns out, test scores weren't dropping. There were just more people taking the tests. As before 1960, only rich people took college entrance exams. By 1980, people of all demographics were taking these tests. Although this caused the overall average to drop, nearly every demographic was doing better across the board. But the DOE used the report to justify the expansion of their powers, which would lead to mandated courses, expanded school days, and a standardized test culture. So schools started to drop woodshop.
So expanded school days and standardized tests. Do you know how much money? Do you know how much money was involved with that? It was all a boondoggle to get more money and power from you. Expanded days is teacher unions and teachers making more money. The standardized test was a private contractor who printed out all the bubble scantrons, and a private contractor who made all the machines made millions of dollars for years after the 1980s. What you don't understand is it wasn't, so this is what I mean by this is what Doge is doing. Doge is getting rid of all these unnecessary federal contracts. So under the Department of Education, you have all these people coming to get that 80 billion and them giving away money. One of the ways they gave away money was the bubble scantron. One of the ways they gave away money was extending the school day. And this is a negotiation between the teachers union. Oh yeah, we want more money. Teachers get more money. You know, one of the debates I have is how much money teachers make. The other day when we had this conversation about the Department of Education, somebody was saying in the chat how I said teachers don't need more money. Teachers make more than the parents. So let me tell you one more statistic. To everybody, I've had this debate so many times, teachers make too much money. Teacher, police, and fire is bankrupt in cities. Do you know why Detroit is bankrupt? Do you know why Vallejo is bankrupt? You know what I learned today in my research? Do you know what I learned today in my research? So I told you what a Title I school is, right? 75% of the students are below the low income, and that teachers make more money to work in the Title I school. So you know what I learned today? 90% of schools are called Title I. So they make more money. So I said to you, if teachers are so poor, if teachers are such a bad job, why is the most empowered person in the world overwhelmingly teacher? The white woman is the most empowered person in the globe today. The white woman has the most rights. And if you check Google or ChatGPT, over 80% of teachers in America are white women. You telling me white women is stupid? Because I'm not going to believe you. White women are the most empowered creatures on the planet. You telling me white women would do a job that they're not going to get paid? Hello? You telling me white women gonna do a job? If teaching is such a bad gig, why is over 80% white females? This is why young white boys and young black boys are illiterate, because over 80% of our educators are white females. You demonize the white male. Ever since Trump got elected, white men are evil. This affects how those white women teachers teach young white men. Feminism, all this misogyny, all this bullshit talk on the TV, like what Melissa Ford and Joe Budden was talking about. It affects how much time a white female teacher may spend with her white heterosexual male child in that classroom. If Billy don't know how to read, and she's a Democrat, a feminist, and she believes in CRT and transgender rights, she might not spend the time that Billy needs to learn how to read. And it's happening in real life. It's happening. Black boys are not learning how to read because you demonize black men. And the white female are afraid of black men. So it affects how that white female teaches her black heterosexual student. And if Jamal needs a little bit more time, she may not give Jamal that time. If Jamal gets frustrated because he doesn't understand, maybe Jamal needs glasses and he can't afford glasses, she may just send Jamal to the principal's office. If Billy with the red hair, you know Billy, all of us know Billy with the red hair. If Billy with the red hair gets frustrated, Billy's 6 foot tall. The teacher 5 foot tall. Billy got red hair. Billy play on a football team. Big old country white boy. If Billy gets upset or frustrated because he can't read, she might just send Billy to the principal's office. Because Billy reminds her of Donald Trump. Billy reminds her of toxic masculinity. And I'm not going to put up with this shit. The TV, the Department of Education, Kamala, Biden, everybody told me I ain't got to put up with your shit, Billy. So you go to the principal. So white male children who may be frustrated because they can't read, because they're in a rural environment, he can't afford glasses, he play football, he might just need an extra time with that teacher. But her ideology affects how she teaches her student, and it's human. I'm not putting her down. I'm saying it's human. And we are seeing the ramifications of this humanity. Young white boys and young black boys are failing, and they don't even want to go to school. You know where else it happened? It happened in churches all across America. Young men used to be leaders in churches. Young men used to want to go to church because young men would get promoted into being pastors, being junior preachers, and having leadership roles in the church. And the church stopped including the young American men. Donald Trump, you need to chastise church leaders, because the same thing that happened in the schools happened in the churches. They prioritized the women in schools and they prioritized the women in churches. It used to be our priority to train men in the church. You had to go into men's groups at church. You had to go into young men's groups at church. All those went to the side for female things because they start dealing with teenage pregnancy in church. And the pastor had to figure out how I'm going to deal with teenage pregnancy. So the priority in American churches became little girls, women, and teenage pregnancy, and forgiving teenage women about having sex, premarital sex. And that's how we get here today. We focus so much on these women and forgiving them for premarital sex that we stop focusing on men and boys. The same thing that happened in the school happened in the church. I don't care who don't like it. I don't care who don't like it. I don't care what you thought you came here. You see that Donald Trump. You see that Donald Trump real proud. I don't know who coming in this chat. I don't know who coming up in here getting upset at anything I say. You see that Donald Trump proud with a big old signature. You know what you're going to hear when you click on this show. You see that big old Donald Trump proud. You know what I'm about to talk about. If you thought I was going to say something negative about Trump, ha ha. I don't know what you thought. Ain't the thumbnail up? Somebody tell me, is the thumbnail up? The thumbnail up? Who is this? Rocket said, bravo, well said, man. You are schooling them. Keep going strong. May God bless you. Man, so proud of you. Please don't change. White grandma from Ohio. Thank you so much. That blessing, oh, that's a powerful blessing and a powerful prayer. It's one thing, you know, my grandmother passed away. And the one thing I miss about my grandmother so much, and that you just gave me, is that my grandmother had a relationship with God. My grandmother had a type of relationship with God where people would be afraid to deal with her in certain ways because they knew my grandmother had powerful prayers, that God would listen to my grandmother and God would answer my grandmother prayers. Like if you had a problem in the church, you could go to my grandmother and my grandmother would pray for you and that prayer would come. So people understood that my grandmother had powerful prayers. And the one thing I would miss about my grandmother is I knew my grandmother had a direct connection to God. You know, in the Bible, I talk about this story all the time where it was two disciples and the disciple was telling the other disciple, he said, I'm not going to take a wife. And he said, not to offend you, but the reason I'm not going to take a wife is to be a good, godly husband. You have to put your wife first. And I want to be a man of God. So I'm not going to take a wife because I want to put God first. And I want to have a direct connection to the Lord. So I want to be able to talk to God directly without the inference of a wife and children. And not to say you're not a good godly man, because a good godly man who has a wife and a child has to prioritize that wife and child. But me seeing you as that good godly man makes me understand my decision and my path in life, that I cannot take a wife, because I need to have this direct connection in order to be a leader amongst the people, to fulfill I always share that story because that's a powerful story. Now I have a wife and it resonates with me because my understanding and my connection to God, but I always share that with people because I don't know if people understand, like, you know, when I talk about that story, I always talk about the Buddhist monks because we grew up in the 90s with the Shaolin and the Kung Fu. And one of the things that the Shaolin and the Kung Fu masters would say is they don't want to have sex. One of the things, like when we watch, you could go watch right now, like on PBS, and you can see the Shaolin monks do their thing up on the mountain to become a monk. And it's a monk means you take a vow of celibacy. And one of the things they talk about with the vow, Kevin Gates just talked about this and I agree with Kevin Gates. Like, I don't believe in, OnlyFans. I don't want young men. I don't want you watching OnlyFans, right? So the Buddhist monks, the vow of celibacy goes back to that biblical verse. The vow of celibacy for the monk is that they said is if you have sex, it takes me a week to be able to pray or meditate and get back to the place where I was sitting next to God. So it's not about disliking women. It's about spirituality. That's something that they found out. They probably tested it over a long period of time. Like, okay, let me try and see if I have sex, let me go have sex, and then I'm gonna go pray and meditate, and let me see how powerful my prayer or meditation, i.e., is. And what they found and said is that if I have sex, it takes me a week to, when I meditate in prayer, to get myself spiritually to the same place where I would be in my meditation and prayer, right? So this is what, everybody is not like that, you know what I'm saying? But my education, the reason I stopped, because she said I'm a grandmother, she said I'm a white grandmother from Ohio. And she said, bless you in the prayer. And y'all don't know, that's more valuable than money. I'll be wanting people to donate to my channel, and because it's expensive, but that is one of the most valuable gifts I've ever received, is from a white grandmother to tell me, God bless you, and to pray for me. Y'all don't know how valuable prayer is. Like, people could give you money, the money gonna go. You're gonna spend the money on bills, but that prayer, that covering, that covers you. You know the thing about grandmother's prayers, it covers you when you don't deserve it. A lot of times I share with people, a grandmother's prayer is going to cover you when you don't deserve it. Sometimes you might find a $5 bill on the ground and you'd be like, why did I find that $5 bill? I honestly may not deserve the $5 bill, but that prayer from that grandmother covers you when you don't deserve it. A lot of people think, oh, that's going to be this, that. No. That covering is a true covering. It's there when you don't know it's there, when you need it. So I had to take a moment. I had to take a moment to do, you guys had to know that I'm a spiritual person and I love God. If I'm up here talking about Trump in a positive manner, if I'm up here educating citizens on why they should be happy that the government is shrinking, you gotta know that I love God. You gotta know that that was gonna come in. And you gotta know that I could appreciate prayer. You had to know that if I'm going to take the time to educate Americans on the truth behind the closing of the Department of Education and how it benefits you as a citizen and what it may take of you, you had to know that I'm the type of person that could appreciate prayer. I'm not going to be someone who loves his country and not love God. Loving God and country is synonymous. It's God and country. It's God and country. It's God and country. It's make America great. This is what get left out. They want to demonize it so much. It's not loving America, being proud to be American. I said, I'm happy that it's the Gulf of America. Mexico don't have no aircraft carriers. Mexico don't have no aircraft carriers. So I am proud to call it the Gulf of America. And being proud to call it the Gulf of America is saying that I'm proud of my God and my country. What's wrong with that? For 4 years, for so long, they told you can't be proud of God. When they take it out of school, when they take it out of Starbucks, you can't be proud of God. That you can't be proud of your country. It's synonymous. They say you weird. MAGA, you weird. You weird for loving America. You weird for having an American flag. You weird for wanting to pray. You weird for loving. It's God and country, bro. And what you need to understand is they get it. They get it. The people, the almighty they who don't want you to love your country, they don't want you to love God either. It's synonymous when they take God out of school. The people who don't want you to love your country, because they know it go together. They know it go together. Let's take American pride out of schools. Let's take God out of schools. It all go together. Let's not only take American pride and God out of schools, let's put this other bullshit in the school that don't belong in the school. So you're going to take God out of schools. You're going to take American pride out of school. We live in America. Every other country does the Pledge of Allegiance. Every other country raise up people to love their country because this is your country. Okay, you're going to take America out of schools. You're going to take God out of schools. But then you're going to put shit in the school that don't belong in the school. And then you don't ask the parents how we feel about it. You're going to put transgender in the schools. You're going to put tampons in the boys' bathroom, but you're not going to ask the dad. You're going to ask my son his gender affirmation, but not, you're going to ask my daughter if she want to have sex. But I'm not allowed to be there. You're going to tell my daughter and my son they can make certain decisions without me, and that I have to adhere to those decisions. You know, there are white men who are in jail. There are white men who have lost custody because at one of these schools, empowered by the Department of Education, they allow a child to make a decision and then told that white father that they had to adhere to a child's decision. This is what's been going on in America. Literally, rights have been taken from parents. Under the Department of Education in Title IX, what has happened, because Title IX was expanded to include these transgender and gay agendas in your classroom. It don't belong in the classroom. Why is it in the classroom? If my son or daughter gonna be gay, they're gonna be gay or not. It don't got nothing to do with what happens at the school. You supposed to teach my son the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's been perverted for people to think that something at the school is going to decide the sexuality of my child. That's not your responsibility. So wait a minute. The Department of Education comes in 1980. The Department of Education takes away the rights of the father. And then the Department of Education becomes the father. and starts telling the student what they can and can't do, and then tells the student that the father, the real biological father, don't have to listen to you. Why? Because as the federal government, I'm going to back your play. Listen to what I'm saying. As the federal government, fuck your father. I'm going to back your play. If you want to do something like body dysmorphication, and we're learning that in Europe, they stopped it. And if your father disagrees, we will arrest your father. Starting at 12 years old. The father who's paid taxes for 40 years. The father who's been to war. The father who's been married. We're not going to listen to him. We're going to listen to you at 12 years old, and we're going to take your decision as law. The federal government did this to the citizen. The federal government, this is what we want to leave. So when he says, oh, you could get rid of the Department of Education, but we want to keep the programs. What he's saying is we want to keep the power. We want to keep the power. We want to stay being the father. We don't want you to be the father. American fathers, you need to understand what Trump is doing. He said, we don't want you to be the father. Why would you have a conversation with my son or daughter about their future sexuality without me? Why would you want that power in America where the citizen is the leader? The citizen is the one who makes the decision. The citizen is the most important. Why would the feds empower the school to have a conversation that affects a citizen that's my responsibility for the rest of their life without me? Why would I vote for that? Why would I vote? I would have that conversation. It's my conversation. And if your job is to teach my son how to read, I want you to teach him how to read. If he needs to have a conversation about his sexuality, I will have it with him. His pastor will have it with him, not his teacher. His teacher should be teaching him reading, writing, and arithmetic. The Department of Education said no. They said the priority is the social issues, how they see black people in America. What do how white people see black people in America got to do with literacy? This is the one thing about CRT as a black American. What does how black people see me got to do with being able to read? Great. I don't want white people to be racist. I don't think anyone wants white people to be racist. What they got to do with them knowing how to read? No one ever explained that to where it made sense. Okay, in America, where it's a melting pot, where we got black, white, purple, green, and brown, Jewish, Catholic, Muslim, we all love each other and get along. We don't like racism. Okay, we don't like racism. No one likes racism. What that got to do with kids learning how to read and write? I agree. I don't like black racists. I don't like white racists. I don't like Mexican racists. I don't like Asian racists. No one in America likes racism. We can agree that no one in America likes racism. No one in America condones racism. Why does the teacher who's supposed to be teaching my kid reading, writing, and arithmetic is teaching my kid about racism? That's my job too. Your job is to teach 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 11. That's what your job is. I'm supposed to be a good parent. I'm supposed to be a good American and tell them that America is the greatest country on the earth because you can pray to whoever you want. You can love whoever you want. You can go wherever you want. If I don't do that, then I'm a piece of shit and I'm not a good American. But I don't need the school telling me I'm a piece of shit. I know I'm a piece of shit. I'm not a good American if I don't tell my American child that we can all pray to whoever we want. We can all love whoever we want. We can all say whatever we want. I'm a bad American. I don't need a teacher telling me that. I don't need a teacher whose job it is to teach my son reading, writing, and arithmetic to tell my son that your parent is a bad American. That's not the teacher's job. The community used to do that. The community used to do that. Where my 100 likes? Leo, you've been Leo, thank you, Leo. You've been going in today, Leo. They straight up gave an example of what they think DEI is. They think it's anything done by a black or brown person. It's a cult. What does DEI have to do with the times tables? When is the last time you heard a child recite times tables? I remember having a Peachy folder. The kids don't even got Peachy folders no more. And in the Peachy folder, it had that box with the timetable. I remember spending so much time memorizing my twos, my fours, the prime. You know, pi was just passed. Pi just passed. My wife, this is my perfect time, Mrs. Perfect Time, and I love you. She said, this is the type of conversation, this is the type of marriage we have. We're out, she taps me, she give me a kiss. She said, Daddy, do you know today is Pi Day? And I just smiled. Because I'm like, I have an intelligent wife. She knows I love math. I love things like that. And she said, today is 3/14. Today is Pi Day. How many people know what an isosceles triangle is? How many people know what an isosceles triangle is? I need 100 likes, man. Hit the like button. Patrick said, okay, I just swept in here, but as a European, what did he say? As a European, I'm having trouble understanding. So you are pissed off that you have biopolitical education. Your teacher's job isn't only there to teach reading. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Patrick. That's America. You don't live in America. That's all they there to do in America. That's all they there to do is teach reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's why we call it the 3 R's, Patrick. That's where you're wrong, because when the federal government encroaches upon anything else, that is the citizenry. It's different than you. Y'all got a king. Y'all got a certain religion. Y'all is different. Y'all got a king attached to Christianity. That's why y'all having so much trouble with Brexit and the Muslims coming in, because your culture and ideology is changing. And I might agree with that, but you're so asinine, you can't even follow along with the conversation. I'm from Europe. I'm from Britain. I don't believe you're from Europe. You don't even sound intelligent. You ain't from Europe. You don't understand Brexit. You don't understand why they're upset with the Muslims and the culture. It's because they have a king in Christianity. And it's juxtaposed to Muslim and Islam. It's different here in America. Yes, that's all they're supposed to do. That's why we're happy. We want a smaller government. We don't want a king. We don't need the Department of Education. And we don't want teachers teaching anything but the 3 R's, and do that first. Learn to put the weed in the bag first, Patrick. Learn to put the weed in the bag first, Patrick. Huh? You milk tea, biscuit drinking clown. You big-footed, isosceles triangle head having ass. In America, we say, learn to put the weed in the bag first before you talk all this cash shit, Patrick. What we're saying today is, what Trump is saying is, under the Department of Education, under the teachers that you want to champion, illiteracy rates in America have plummeted. They continue to drop. Under your paradigm, illiteracy rates, Patrick, are dropping. They ain't doing shit with that power, Patrick. So we're saying today in this chat, put the weed in the bag. Learn how to put the weed in the bag. We're telling the teachers, teach the kids how to read first. Patrick, before you get into all this liberal socio-economic bullshit, learn to put the weed in the bag first, motherfucker. The kids should know how to read. And that's why the Democrats lost, because you wanted to go to socioeconomics and the kids don't even know how to read. The kids need to know how to read before you go into this bullshit. That's why you sound stupid. That's why I know you're not from England. That's why I know you trolling. That's why I know you full of shit, because that's you. You're not intelligent. You just saying some stupid shit in the chat that a dummy would say. Learn how to put the weed in the bag first, Patrick. They should have literacy rates out the roof before they come to us and say, I can do this too. Hey, the kids, everybody know how to read. Everybody know how to write. I can teach this too. I got time in class because everybody know how to read and write, but they don't got that time in class, Patrick, with 35 students. I talk to the teachers. They barely got time to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic. They don't got time to teach the social economic. You are full of shit. You are full of cash shit. Have you been to a classroom with 40 students who don't got fathers and one white lady in the front, and her job is to teach 40 students the times tables, and you want to give her something else? You sound stupid, Patrick. You want to give her something else? Do you know what a Title I school is? Have you been to a low-income school? Well, Title I low-income schools don't have enough space. The classroom get overloaded. See, legally, you can only have like 31, 32, but oftentimes in a Title I school, you got 36 to 40 kids in the classroom. So tell me how that little 5-foot white woman is handling 30, 40 kids, 30, 40 American kids. 70% of them have no father. And you want her to teach socioeconomics on top of or aside of. When did she teach it, Patrick? When did she teach it? Because he's saying, I'm from Europe. I'm from Europe. See, in Europe, they would never have a classroom that large, even with the Muslim and the African students. See, in Europe, they're dealing with the Muslim and African immigrants, but they never tell you why. They never discuss why they're having an issue with the Muslim and African immigrants. It's the same thing with the Midwest and the Haitians. In Ohio, they didn't have people to do those jobs. So guess what the governor of Ohio did? He brought in 20,000 Haitians to work. So now they live and work and they pay taxes. Do you know I worked for Kaiser for 15 years? We didn't have enough nurses in America. So you know Kaiser has a school. Kaiser has a school in America where we train nurses and bring them here. They would never have that many students in a British school. They brought in those Muslims and Africans, and they had issues with Brexit because they needed them to work and the white people wouldn't do those jobs. And what happened was the Muslims and the Africans, some of them are the same, would not leave. And it's changing Europe forever. Europe is never going to be the same because the white people are not producing more white children. So over the past 20 years, America, they've been distracting you with bullshit, but Europe has changed. They have some places in Europe that used to be 100% European, meaning i.e. 100% white, that are now ethnically cleansed. They are now Muslim. They will never be white again. Austria, Sweden, certain places in Europe, they don't talk about this shit. Only if you subscribe to my channel, if you become a member, these are the conversations we will have. And there's no going back. They don't tell you about Brexit. They don't tell you about BRICS. You don't really understand it. You don't really understand it. And this clown is coming in here with this bull. He doesn't understand America. He doesn't know what a Title I school is. He doesn't know what it's like for that white teacher. This is a 20-year-old white woman. She's 5 foot tall. She's in the inner city in a low-income classroom. 70% of her students don't have parents. Her job is to make it through the fucking day. Y'all have no idea, bro. Her job is to make it through the fucking day. I talk to the teacher. Parents don't come to the teacher meetings. Parents don't talk to the teacher. They don't know how difficult it is in America in a low-income classroom where the rules are not being followed. She should not have that many students in the classroom. Some of the students should never have even got into the class. You worried about socioeconomics. When I talk to the teacher, you know what she worried about? I have to teach this student 2 grades behind. They're not ready for this class. I don't know how they got in this class. I'm trying to be upset at the white woman. You a white lady. You don't like black kids. She almost in tears. And I'm learning the truth of what is happening in American schools. She said to me, I understand your frustration. Half of these kids are not ready to learn what I'm supposed to teach them. So half of them are, half of them aren't. I can't even teach the whole class. I can't teach the whole class. So as a father, I know you're upset. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this job. This is not the way the job is designed. Half of these students should not be in this class. So now I'm thinking the white woman is a racist. Here I am. I'm a 6 foot tall black man, 5 foot white lady. I'm thinking, you white lady, you're racist. I have no idea what she's dealing with. She's dealing with an impossible task. And then the principal is not helping her. There's no one to help her. With the 40 students, there should not be 30 students is too much. And then certain students come in and hang out with other students. The classroom in the low income is like a haven. People hide in the classroom. Everybody in the classroom is not even your student. He just may be scared to go in the hallway. So the biggest thing about this that I would pray for is that we don't need the Department of Education. You know what solves this problem with that white teacher? We need parents. We need parents to be involved in schools again. When I went to an Asian school, so in America, we have silos. I don't like that we silo off in America, but we do. We have Jewish communities, we have Asian communities. If you ever have your son or daughter bust into a Jewish community or Asian community, I went to a Mormon school. What you find in these silo communities that do have religion is that the parents and grandparents are in the school. Like I would see parents in the classroom. I remember going into the class and I seen a grandmother feeding everyone, not just her kids, but it was an Asian grandmother and she made breakfast every morning for all the kids. And I'm like, you know, when I'm in the inner city, there's a metal detector for the parents, the fucking parents. They don't treat me different. I gotta go through a fucking metal detector as a parent. In the inner city, there are fucking metal detectors for the parents. And they don't treat us like that. I don't get to be in the classroom. They escort me with security guards. They treat the father, the white father and the black father, they treat us like we fucking pariah when we want to come to the school and talk to the teacher and talk to the principal. I need a security guard because I'm pissed. Bullshit. I go to the Asian school. Parents, grandparents, the community freely. You go into the Jewish community. It's a public school. You would think there would be a line. There's no line. If it's 100%, what you guys need to know in those Jewish communities that you see, they got public schools in those Jewish communities. Public, they're not private, public schools. And they operate almost like a private school because there's no line. And you have parents and the kids perform so well because of that. And there's no metal detector. There's none of that. The grandparents get to come into school. I would love for that to be the inner city where we don't need feds. We don't need, I see the people in the chat talking about guns and drugs and gangs. The gangs and the drugs go to where they're welcome. See, these again are ignorant people who are not familiar with. I am familiar with the streets. I am familiar with guns and drugs. Guns and drugs go where they're welcome. So if there are parents at the school, the guns and the drugs don't disappear. They just go where they're welcome. Because people with guns and drugs don't want to be bothered with doing their crime and drugs. They want to go where they're welcome. Don't you see homeless camps and drug areas pop up in certain areas for a reason? The drug area is there because it's welcome. There's a drug store. There's drug addicts. That's why the drugs and the gangs are there. It's welcome. If parents were at the school, the gangs, the drugs would go somewhere else. I'm not saying they would disappear. We have to use our brains and think. I'm not saying they would disappear. I'm saying if Black and Latino parents were welcome in public schools, then gangs and drugs would be unwelcome. They would go somewhere else. The schoolhouse ain't cool, bro. We can't go up there no more. The schoolhouse ain't cool, bro. The schoolhouse ain't cool, bro. The schoolhouse ain't cool. You think the Muslim community, the Jewish community, the Mormon community don't got drugs? It's idiotic to say the things that you are saying. They got drugs in the Jewish community. They got drugs in the Asian community. They got same crime, domestic violence. The kids are doing better in the schools. The kids are doing better in the schools. It's because the parents are involved in the school, intricately involved in the school. You can't argue that. Facts. Drugs exist everywhere. Crime exists everywhere. We're talking about education of the students. See, what happens in those Jewish communities and those Mormon communities is the school, there is no line between the school and the parents, right? But the school, there is a line on what the school will do. See, the school is not going to be the Jewish teacher. That's going to happen in the synagogue. Same thing at the Mormon school. See, the Mormons left school and went to seminary because I'm not going to give that responsibility to the teacher. Y'all not thinking. The Mormons didn't give, so the feds tell you that we give the teacher these social economic things to teach. That's not what they do in Mormon, Jewish, and every other community. They take the kids out of the school. They understand the difference between what the teacher is required to do and what we're required to do as a culture and as a people. So the Mormon students go to seminary. And all those social issues that you're having issues with in the chat happen at seminary. They don't happen in the classroom. In the classroom, they learn the timetables. But they leave school every day at the same time, and they go to a different type of school with a different type of teacher that teaches them what the feds were trying to shove down the throats of school students and public schools. Facts. Well, my 100 likes. Tim said, read it yourself if I'm lying. What are you talking about, Tim? Most of y'all don't even know what y'all talking about. Read what? Read what? Your comment ain't even coming up. That's how much your comment is worth to YouTube. Your comment ain't even coming up. What misinformation? Somebody said, FVK said, stop spreading misinformation. What misinformation? It's always people who don't have information. Go talk about what's misinformation. What? Research what? Research what? Tim, honestly, go do your research. Thank you. You on my side. Okay, Tim said, he that worketh deceit shall not dwelleth within my house. Oh, man, he a clown. You a clown. If you in here quoting the Bible and you trying to tell me I'm wrong, you don't even know what, but white Jesus is deceit. What is you talking about, Tim? See, Tim, you is the reason why Trump be having a hard time. Tim is one of the people who did not benefit from Title I. So what we gotta really understand is that there gonna be some Tims. There gonna be quite a few Tims. Hey, okay, it's about to be lunch. I'm about to go have lunch with my wife. Or she going to lunch. She probably not even coming home. She probably gonna call me though. I need my 100 likes, man. We got 83 likes. The likes is free, man. Nameless, the protagonist in the building. What's up with your Nameless, man? How in the world did I miss this? How did I miss this, man? Shout out to my brother Nameless, man. I'm glad that YouTube is working, man, that you got the notification, man. I'm glad you came through, man. We've been having a good talk about Trump closing the Department of Education. I've been doing my best to illuminate the audience on the benefits of smaller government. To be honest, Nameless, I shouldn't be surprised, but I've been surprised on the lack of understanding of the citizen. JFK files have just been released, and anyone intelligent reviewing the JFK files, you immediately go to, Dwight Eisenhower and that great speech about the military-industrial complex and how when you enlarge the government, how citizens lose power. So I'm explaining to the audience how the Department of Education was created in 1980. It grew the government and it took power from you as a citizen. And you need to understand that in the same week as they released the JFK files, that JFK was assassinated. JFK was actually assassinated because of this understanding that the government was getting too big. The military-industrial complex, we have these oligarchs. So I want the people to understand that you should never be upset about the government being shrunk. And we need to understand about how important it is and how dangerous it may be for Trump and him attempting to shrink the government. When is the last time a president went to shrink the government? I brought up the TSA. The TSA, I said, how do we get these things where the government expands and we lose power? They scare us. They scare us. So I explained how the Department of Education was created in 1980. They scared you. Hey, students are failing. We need a federal department. We need to take away some of your rights, and then students will do better. Well, since the inception of the Department of Education, students have done worse, specifically Black boys, specifically Black and Latino boys. But no one can argue that fact. Since the inception of the Department of Education, and the Department of Education saying, hey, we need these powers, we need these enumerated powers. Congress grants us these powers over schools because they were up to the states. The feds did not have these powers over the schools. What Trump is saying that take away these powers. The power, when they say power, power is over you as a citizen. When you remove the Department of Education, you remove these powers, these decisions don't leave. It's just like a marriage or a relationship. The problems don't leave. The literacy don't. It's just now the person who makes the decision is not Big Daddy. It's not the blanket. You don't need a binky. You're going to have to make the decision, bro. You're going to have to deal with it. And shout out to Nameless. Thank you for coming through, man, because that gave me an opportunity. Nameless said, remember, the origins of public education was 1907. Come on, man. And 7 years later, the Gecko Island. Come on. Booker T warned about this. Carter G. Woods warned about this, but we fast forward to 2000. Come on. So if you look at Nameless's comment, the Department of Education is just an extension of the programming, right? So some of us are not even surprised when the Department of Education 1980 is created and they go for more. Think about how they massage the public to the point where then they scare you and they put you in a position we take more rights from you. So they get 9/11, right? And they massage the government. They dumb you down to the point where, okay, they got 9/11 and they say, well, we got to take more rights from you. We got to come up with the Patriot Act. We got to institute a brand new department, the TSA. We got to start listening to your phone calls. We got to start listening to your phone calls. We need smartphones. We need smart TVs. We need to listen to everything you do because, it's terrorists, Do y'all remember the terror alert? As we talk about the feds, as we talk about department, the public education, do y'all remember the terror alert? As we talk about this federal government, y'all think we playing? Y'all remember? Some of y'all wasn't even born. My wife always teased me because she young. Do y'all remember? Oh, it's yellow. Because everybody be like, oh, a plane crash. I remember people would be scared to fly because they would have a terror alert and they had it color coded. And they was like, oh, it's a high risk. It's a high risk. Don't fly, or if you fly, you might die. Don't fly, because if you fly, you might die. Thank God for the TSA. Thank God for the TSA. It's almost like a movie. It's almost like Idiocracy come to life. You know what I mean? Thank God for the TSA, because it's a high yellow, and if you don't... Wait a minute. What Nameless said? Nameless said, the entitled shifts to fund schools with property taxes. My point is low-income folks were not getting the money set aside for it in the education system. That was the people's fault for not knowing. That's what I've been saying all day. Low-income people have not been getting the money. They have not benefited from the government taking over these things. Sorry, but you're going to have to get involved. You gave up your rights. You thought Big Daddy government was going to solve the problem. Sorry, they not. Big Daddy government is not going to solve the problem of your kid not being able to read. He said, let me give you an example. My brother was illiterate at second grade. The summer, my mom enrolled him into private boarding school, and by the next school year, he was reading at 7th grade level. Real life examples and facts is hard to beat. Private school, most time I don't know, but the private school, most time private school might have been Catholic, might have had prayer associated. You might have had to pray. You might have had some, like the brother with that relationship show, there may have been a rubric established beyond just the curriculum that helps the children grow. In a lot of private schools, it's a nun with corporal punishment whooping your ass. A lot of private schools, like Notre Dame, making the boys go back to mass before the football game. Imagine how practice goes for that coach. Y'all going to mass. I'm instituting mandatory mass. You came to Notre Dame. You knew what Notre Dame was. I don't care about your mama, your uncle. Oh, I just wanted them to play football. No, you came to Notre Dame. I'm instituting mandatory mass and 2-a-day practice. They won the Orange Bowl. Imagine how practice went when he instituted mandatory mass. Imagine the minds of the students and the football player when that coach institute. It don't even matter if they're Catholic, bro. When you go to private school, you go to Catholic school, the people don't be Catholic. It's the rubric. What name to say? He said, fam, when I was going in, they thought I had a learning disorder and I had not been for my grandparents insisting the counselors weren't qualified to determine that. Come on now, sound like me. The hustle was if they can get low-income kids in special education, the school gets special funding from the government and keeps those classes open by the number of students. This was why a lot of us liked Umar Johnson 12 years ago. 12 years ago, this is what Umar Johnson brought to the lexicon, and I don't know what happened to Umar Johnson. But Umar Johnson the other day said, outside of my internet persona, what people don't see is how many families I've helped with this very issue. Because he said, I still have those numbers and I still have those contacts open for mothers to contact me about their children ending up in a situation that Nameless just described. But when I first heard Umar Johnson speak, he spoke truth to power, because like Nameless, I had already understood these things, but I was so happy that it was someone with the education, because I'm a hood dude. I don't got the PhD. Umar Johnson had the PhD, he had the education, he was a principal, he was a psychologist. So when Umar Johnson, he was speaking from a different place, when he started teaching these single mothers about how and why they were classifying your child for special education in these Title I schools and environments, it was a boondoggle, it was a boondoggle, it was a boondoggle. Double the money to keep your kid in special ed. That's what Umar Johnson said when he first came out, and no one knew it. No one knew it. FFV said, I went to a magnet school, one of the top schools in my state. Over the years, it went into public school because of open choice, all of the shit. I'm a minority too. So it benefited him when it was a magnet school. Harry said, they pulled me into a room and gave me all these weird ass tests. The next thing I know, I was being forced and fed Ritalin. Wow, bro. They tried to put my little brother on Ritalin. Me and my mother fell out. I got put out of my mother's house. I got put out of my mother's house because I knew about Ritalin. Imagine like kids like us, like in the Boys in the Hood, Malcolm Farrakhan, Nameless, all y'all, we always been these guys. We always been these guys, inquisitive. We knew too much. We learned too quickly. We shouldn't have known about Ritalin when we knew about Ritalin. We shouldn't have known about a lot of these things. We should not understand what it means to be a citizen. We should not understand that smaller government is better for the citizen. There's so much that we should not know. Man, I got put out of my mama's house because I stopped her from putting my little brother on Ritalin because I knew what it was. And she was like, how did you know? Because we read. My mother loved to read. My mother was a single mother. She was single for so long. So she made us love reading. So I read. Nameless said, we are getting a hard lesson as to why most powerful entities on the planet Earth are all families, not corporation, not banks, not government, families. That's why Nameless, that's why I keep going to Notre Dame. So you gave your example, Harry gave his example, Fuckster gave his example. That's why I go to Notre Dame. You know, that's a brother. That's a brother. The new coach at Notre Dame is a brother. How that story just gets swept. You know why, Nameless? Because of what you just said. Because the importance of family, what comes along with family. I said God and country comes together. The reason why religion, why would a man, I'm not gonna go into I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go into it, but you know, family and religion is synonymous, like God and country is synonymous. You don't have a country without God. Why have a country if you don't have a God? Like, you know, when you talk about countries, Muslim countries, that's synonymous. Judaism, Israel, the state of Israel is God and country. So now these things are like the same. I don't know why people don't it's the same. 92 likes. Where my 8 likes? We need 100 likes. 92 likes. 92 likes. It's free to hit the like button. We need 100 likes, man. I love you. 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 I love you guys too, man. I love you guys too, man. Yeah, family, man, goes along with, like, how do you have family? Like, it's a Russian family, it's a Jewish family, it's a, like, the last name family is denoted by the last name. There's so much you can tell. They needed to be able to do that, to have community, for people. So your last name denoted not only your family, what your family did, where your family was from, and who your family prayed to. That was what your last name was all about. That's why black men were so upset when they start giving the sons these stupid ass names, because you didn't understand family. When I named my child, I learned that from my father, that when I named my child, it was a direction that people, when they heard my children's name, they would understand and know. Like, people say, oh, you got an anger problem. Everybody been saying shit about me in the chat. Well, that's how I named my children, so that you would know and understand my children, that they were part of this family, from this location, with this religion. That's what you, when someone has an Italian name, you would assume back in the day they was Italian, Catholic, you know what I'm saying? Anglo, you know, with an Asian name, you assume these things are associated whether you like it or not. And when you get rid of family, part of the way to chip away at family is to chip away at the church and chip away at religion. How you get rid of pride in your country is to take away God. Bring in the gay shit, right? And say anyone who believes in God is anti-gay. It doesn't mean if you believe in God, you're not anti-gay. I don't believe that at all. I don't at all. I know a lot of people who love God who are not anti-gay, but that's what they do. They bring in that. So they try to separate God and country. And they make you weird if you love your country. MAGA, they tried, during the last 4 years, they tried to say MAGA were terrorists. Think about that. People who love their country, my battery about to go dead. People who love their country, people who love, they said MAGA, they wanted to arrest MAGA people. People who love their country, have an American pride. They tease you. They want to tease you for saying the Gulf of America. They think it's funny. Mexico don't have no aircraft carriers. Why can't I be proud of the Gulf of America? Man, I need 5 more likes. Hit the like, share, hit the donate, hit the join, subscribe. Y'all playing with me. Y'all playing with me with these 5 likes, man. Y'all really is playing with these 5 likes. Don't play, man. Go ahead and hit the like button, man. 4 to go, man. I know, man. What's the problem, man? 40 people watching. You know how quickly we get to 100 likes? It's 40 people watching, man. You just hit the like button. If you ain't hit the like button, we'd be at 100 likes, man. And it'll be no problem, man. It's like so simple, man. Y'all been in the building. Thank you for quoting 2 Timothy. Thank you for quoting the verses. Everybody been such a blessing today, man. Even you know what I love, you know, with a lot of times with a format like this, what's so beautiful is when people disagree. People might think you don't want them. No, I want people to disagree. I want people to disagree because it creates the great conversation. You know what I'm saying? Y'all still ain't hit the like button. Y'all playing with it, boy. 5 likes. What is y'all? Harry said, getting all this free knowledge, you could at least hit the like button. That's at least. At least. And then he says, debating is what made this country great. Correct. Everybody does not have to agree. That's why we got 2 parties.
Education, we're going to.
Let's see the president. Let's see what the president got to say real quick. I think this was, and then the president, he keep doing like awesome things, man, as a leader. When a young boy with brain damage, he had beat brain cancer. He was only supposed to live for 6 months. He's been alive for 10 years. President Trump named him an honorary Secret Service. That was so powerful, bro. It's like he keep doing stuff that's just like, for people who dislike him, was like, okay. So this is what it looked like when he signed. Look, little nappy head, little black boys, every race, male, female, you know, it looked like a little mulatto child, you know. This is Trump when he signed it.
And it sounds strange, doesn't it? Department of Education, we're going to eliminate it.
U.S. President Donald Trump moved to eliminate the Department of Education, but he can't shutter the agency without congressional legislation, and his administration is already facing legal challenges. Here's a look at what's at stake. Trump has repeatedly called for eliminating the Department of Education, calling it a big con job.
But we're going to be returning education very simply back to the states.
Republicans have been critical of the department, particularly over student loan forgiveness and policies related to diversity, equity, and inclusion programs.
Correct.
Keep critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools.
Some conservatives have also denounced curricula they see as too liberal or excessively focused on America's history of racial discrimination. Trump's executive order to shut down the agency mandates that any programs receiving remaining DOE funds should not advance DEI or gender ideology. The department oversees some 100,000 public schools and 34,000 private schools in the United States. Even though the bulk of public school funding comes from state and local governments, an immediate closure of the department could disrupt tens of billions of dollars in aid to K-12 schools and tuition assistance for lower-income college students. The department provides federal grants for needy schools and programs, including money to pay teachers of children with special needs, fund arts programs, and replace outdated infrastructure.
Just like that. Awesome.
It evaluates public and private schools for the quality of their curricula and whether they are following guidelines intended to ensure all children in the U.S. get equal access to education. It also enforces civil rights laws in schools. In 2024, Congress appropriated $79 billion to the department for discretionary programs, ones that educate homeless kids, provide arts education, and support a national center for the deaf and blind, among other things.
With your eraser.
Defenders say the DOE is crucial to keeping public education standards high and accuse Republicans of trying to push.
It's just the DOE is responsible for keeping public education standards high, but the literacy rates continue to plummet. Imagine if you didn't know. Imagine if a literacy rates were not so bad that everybody knew that young black boys up into the 3rd grade couldn't read. Right now, we all got ChatGPT, or you can go to Grok, or you can go to Google. And you can ask Google, but you can go to the Department of Education website. They are very honest about the fact that there is a problem with the literacy rates of young black boys. So I asked ChatGPT, what's happening? And they said they cannot solve the problem. They've been here since 1980. So I said, look, they have a program. They have a program for transgender. They have a program to put tampons in the bathroom. We all know about Title IX. They expanded Title IX to include, now they had the ability, when the Department of Education had the power, they could have focused on illiteracy. They could have, like Patrick came in, they could have focused on illiteracy. They had the power to focus, but instead, they expanded Title IX to include these social issues, transgender and LGBTQ rights. They changed college campuses and they changed the focus in classrooms. This is you might wonder, well, how did we get here? Because they kept taking, they kept wanting more and more and more. They kept taking from the citizens. They kept taking from your right to decide what and how you approach this conversation. And what about the freedom of the children? What if the children do want to be gay? What if I was a gay child, I would get tired of all this conversation about who I'm having sex with. It's not up to my teacher. It's not up to my mom or whomever, whatever sexuality. And stop pressuring me. Stop asking me. You stop asking me. All of us felt this way as a kid. I don't want to be pressured to not be a virgin, no matter what kind of sex I have. Let me focus on being a kid. Let me focus on graduating high school. That's how I felt. You know what I felt like as a heterosexual boy in high school? I felt pressure to have sex. I was cool with being a virgin. I was scared to have sex. I was cool with being a virgin. What was the pressure? Why? Because I was a boy did I have to have sex? Why was it not cool? Why, you know what I'm saying? Why would everybody ask every summer, did you have sex? Did you have sex? Why was it such a big deal? A lot of young men just had sex one time so they could say, yeah, I had sex, and they didn't have to think about it no more because it wasn't a priority. Sex wasn't a priority. And it was pressure. When you look at, what's that movie we like? What's the movie? It's a lot of high school movies from Porky's, Superbad. Superbad was about all this pressure. Said, man, tonight I'm going to have sex. And his friend was like, we had a good high school. It's a good high school life. We don't want to ruin our life. We're going to go to college. I'm sure we're going to have sex in college. Why make it so much pressure? Why put so much pressure on tonight? What's the big deal about having sex before we leave high school? And then that movie was so funny because they all went through this thing, right? And had all this trouble just so they could have sex, right? And it was like, the movie was like, it wasn't worth it. You know what? Even if I don't have sex tonight, even if you tease me for being a virgin, I have my best friend, and